Thanks very much, Nzinga. Well, I'm joined by Mkolisi Mgocho. He's the CEO at Exxaro. Thanks very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much, Nompu.
Good stuff. Now, headline earnings up 185% relative to the previous 6 months in last year. Looks very impressive. Is this all about higher commodity prices in the first half?
It's a combination of things, Nompu. First of all, we embarked on a strategy of ensuring that we have a very diversified product mix to be able to cater for many markets, both domestic and global. And what that has enabled us to do is to be able now to start choosing the type of markets that we can play into where we can get maximum value. And that was complemented by a decision we took in terms of actually getting more entitlement by our acquisition of total coal assets. Concurrent with that, we have been driving an operational excellence program, which has really gone to a large extent in terms of reducing our costs, also helping us improve our operational efficiencies and productivity, and that is now beginning to realize. Over and above that, we have started to say it's not good enough to be also just looking at excellence in the operations. And we've started a whole new drive now towards functional excellence, because if we can get the functions that are supporting the business to be also excellent, then we are actually providing a lot of efficiencies throughout the whole group. And that now is also supported with our innovation strategy in terms of the digitalization and also other innovation platforms where we're going to be looking at the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotics coming into the operations, and we're going to be also rolling that out. So it's a combination of factors.
Oh, it sounds good. Sounds like you're way ahead of the curve. And in terms of the Rand exchange rate, what impact has this had on your results? An adverse one, I should think?
Well, you know, there's been a lot of volatility in terms of the exchange rate. For us, what we focus on is that which we can control, because what happens in the markets happens in the market. There's policy uncertainties, there's political instabilities globally, which invariably have an impact in terms of what happens with the exchange rate. So we don't tend to focus about what happens to those and what happens to the share price. Our focus is about in those areas that we control, that we are at the best in that. And our aim is to be ensuring that in everything that we are doing, we're in the bottom quartile of the cost curve throughout all our business, and that's what we are aiming for.
If we look specifically at coal, what are the dynamics of that market, well, for those 6 months, and what's your outlook for the balance of the year?
The 6 months, I think there's still a lot more that we could have probably been able to achieve, especially on the export side. But we were down on exports at the first half of the year, and that was primarily due to the fact of the huge congestion that took place at the Richards Bay Coal Terminal with the, the bad weather that happened in the beginning of the year. So there's a little bit of catch-up that we want to be doing there in terms of what we can achieve in the second half. We are really poised to doing that. Unfortunately, also with the Addendum 9 of the Medupi offtake agreement with Eskom in Lephalale, you know, for this year, there's a higher uptake than what was in the contract for last year. So we are really looking at driving, and riding that wave into the second half of the year. So our focus, let's do what we do best, and that is to get the coal out of the ground. That is to make sure that we optimize and value optimize our businesses, not only within the individual mines, but across our whole business, where we can generate different types of products, blend them to various types of specs, to various types of products mixes for the different type of markets, being able to take advantage of the dynamics that's taking place within the global market, to be able to make sure that we've got a place where we can place our highest value coals in those markets.
Sounds good. Now, I know you wear a couple of hats. You're the CEO at Exxaro, and of course you also have a role at the Chamber of Mines. The Chamber of Mines is having a face-off with government currently in terms of regulation. Just give us your views on what's happening around the mining charter right now.
Well, as it is well known, the Mining Charter 3 came out, and of course, what we have seen is that as it is right now, first of all, there hadn't been sufficient consultation around this, which we've made very, very public. And so we are in a process where now, a legal process, and the idea is to say, we are very much pro-transformation, but the type of transformation that we would like to see happening in this country is one that is not destructive to the industry, but it is a transformation process and inclusivity that ensures the viability of the sector in a way that mining becomes continues to become the real bedrock of this industry. So our hope and what we are aiming for is that we would like to get around again back to a situation where we can engage about what is good. So in as much as we are saying we are challenging the current charter, we are also engaging with other key stakeholders to say, if the mining sector is to say we want it to look good, what does that mean? So we're going to be soliciting a whole host of other inputs, from multi-stakeholders, whether it's communities, whether it's church, and all around to say, when mining is good, what does it look like? And therefore, we want to embrace that so that as we transform our industry going forward, it should be an industry that is very well supported, but it also achieves the desires and the requirements that are needed to actually really transform the whole country going forward.
Well, we're going to leave it there. So thank you very much for your insights, and good luck with that initiative that you're mentioning there. Well, that was Mgolisi Mgojo. He's the CEO at Exxaro. And